We are back. Well, I am back. And you guys are coming for the ride. So, we are going to get straight into it. We're talking about irresponsible parents. So, this is a suggestion from one of my followers, J.A.C, Canadian brother, who said, "Hey, Contrarian, why don't you do a live stream on deadbeat parents?" I said, "Sure thing." I didn't know which day I would do it, but I said I would do it, so here I am. I'm a man of my words, uh, which also bringing up being a man of my word. I will still be doing a home workout video for you guys. I'm gonna do like a John Fan Kondo Muay Thai workout. It's not really for self defense, but it'll be. It's not going to be Taibo. It's going to be like actual technique with good form. Okay, but it'll be just to like a routine to stay in shape. Okay, uh, and I have that coming up. I have some stuff coming up from Mrs. Contrarian that I said she was going to do, so she's going to do that for us. Um, because I asked her. So all that stuff is on the way. But the topic today is what are the effects of irresponsible parents? So I wanted to make it more broad than just deadbeat parents, as GJC suggested. I wanted it to be about irresponsible parents in total. Okay. Dilfer says, "Hey, Contrarian, sorry to get off topic, but I really want to know your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine if you have seen it yet." So, in answer to that, no, I haven't. I was supposed to see it Saturday. I had some tickets, but I missed the showing because, well, frankly, I couldn't get anyone to go with me at the time. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just go by myself. But it was getting kind of late. So I was like, I don't want to miss the beginning of the movie. So I just decided not to go. I'm going to try to go tomorrow during the, I'm going to try to catch a matinee at this local theater near me. So I'm gonna try to catch that tomorrow. And thanks for reminding me because I actually have to message my friend to see if he can go with me to that matinee. All right, Jesus the Lord, you gave us your your blessings, so appreciate it. So, like I said, this is GJC's run, so I'm hoping he appears because this was his topic suggestion. So I hope he appears. Guys, this is a super chat, so if you do have questions that's kind of off topic, if you drop it in the format of a super chat, I will gladly answer it. And people who've been to my chat, been to this live stream before, knows that I will answer things in vivid detail. I don't give like a quick one-off answer. Like I will answer something that people ask me in good faith and in complete detail to my to my abilities. So if you do have a question that's off topic, please drop me a super chat, or you can give me a super thanks or a super sticker, any of those, and I will answer your question in complete detail. Okay. To Kennedy says movies are a bit of trash with this woke crap. I don't think that applies to Deadpool. He's not your woke sort of. He's an anti-hero, so he's not. You have not watched Deadpool movies. He's not woke. Mr. Savage 1711 says, "Love you. My dad is a preacher. I love church." Well, good for you. To Kennedy, that's not my topic for today. So if you want to ask me that, like as I just said, I would appreciate you doing it in the form of a super chat. Then I'll answer that question. But today's topic is something that one of my loyal subscribers has suggested to me, which is like I said, he wanted to talk about deadbeat dads, but I'm just making it more general so we can all talk about it, which is irresponsible parents. I have them, so I can talk about them in my case. And anyone who's been to, again, my previous live streams knows that I'm not shy in talking about my personal family matters. Um, however, I do omit some details just because I'm a rational person. I'm not going to put everything out there for someone that can possibly harm them or get them in legal entanglement. So, with that being said, I have no problem going into my own experiences in this conversation. Dilfer says the effects of irresponsible parents are significant. One of the best examples is allowing a child to use electronics such as a phone or a computer at an early age with no control. So that's absolutely correct, and that's something that I keep harping on, and most people don't. Most people. So the response I get to that Dilfer either is, well, wait till you have children, then you'll see. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be irresponsible. I'm not going to let my kid just sit in front of a digital screen at a young age where I know that the brain is still very plastic at the time. That neuroplasticity that's an actual thing, by the way, is because the brain is still physically wiring itself, and when you put kids in front of a screen at an early age, it actually tampers with that wiring. Um, the when I'm talking about synaptic connections here, the synapses are the parts of the brain, the parts of the brain cells that connect with other brain cells for the purposes of neural communication. So, um, when you have kids in front of screens at young ages, it causes attentional deficits. It may not necessarily cause ADHD, but they will not have a good working memory and attention span. And this is why you see warnings from the American Medical Association, the American Pediatric Association, the American Psychological Association, the um, the American Psychiatric Association. So those are different, and the Association for Psychological Science. All of them tell people, don't let your kids be in front of screens at an early age, even in latter years, they shouldn't be having too much screen time. This is why China has actually stopped children from gaming too much because they realize what it's doing to these children, and China sees their children as an investment into their future of their country. So, you know, in any case, I completely agree, Delphit. I definitely, my wife and I have already agreed that we won't be letting our kid sit in front of a screen at an early age. I hope other people realize that as well. But that's one of the milder forms of irresponsible parenting, to be honest. Lion Moet says, what's the topic? The topic is, what are the effects of irresponsible parents? That's the topic. Anna Claire says, are you a dad? Not yet, Anna. By the way, I like, although you disagree with me a lot in the previous streams, I really appreciate you coming back and rocking with me. I really do, sincerely. I'm not a dad yet. I look forward to it. My wife looks forward to it. I actually asked her, I was like, as immature as I am, you think I could be a good dad? She was like, yeah, I really think you would be. So I take that as a compliment, which is probably why she chose me in the first place, right? let's be honest. Let's be honest, guys. The women choose us. Like, we go out and pursue them, but they've already decided in their head whether they were going to accept us or not when we approach. It's just all a matter of don't mess it up in the process. But yeah, I look forward to being one, but I'm not one. So often I do get pushback from friends and family who say, "Well, you're not a parent yet, so you don't know what you're talking about." And I'm saying, "Well, I may not be a parent, but I have a lot of knowledge in behavioral research, particularly dealing with in children with developmental psychology." Actually, I was going to when I was doing developmental psychology, I was going to volunteer at a place near my university that allowed you to work with special needs children, but I couldn't fit it in my schedule, unfortunately. But it was something that was something that I thought might be appealing. Special needs children can be it can be both a task and a delight to work with them. One of the things you realize as a side effect of, like, say, people with Down syndrome, aside from how they look, of course, is that they have a very childlike disposition. Even the adults, like, they have a genuine childlike disposition, which is pretty cool. So anyway, back to irresponsible parents, and I'm gonna go through the chat. Robbie says love from Ireland, man. Thank you, Robbie. What's up? Z Unlimited says hi. What's up, Z? Was it is it Z or Zi? I'm assuming it's Z, but you can correct me. Dorfus says wow, Contrarian, you are really getting popular. 64 viewers already. I know, man. I don't know what I did. Maybe it's the lucky. Like I said, maybe it's my grandfather's plaque above me just sending me good vibes. You know. Jamal says hello, brother. How's America like? Uh, that's a very open question. That's a very open-ended question. Um, well, that can be a subject for a whole nother day, Jamal. But I'll just say it's been interesting. I am a patriot, though, but that doesn't mean I agree with everything that goes on here. But I am a patriot, so I don't know if that helps. But um, that can be a focus for a whole nother topic. Unless you want to drop a super chat, then I'll answer that for like 10 minutes straight. Elena ashes, do you like Godzilla stop motion? I'm asking everyone that has a live today. So you're really stopping in people's live streams and asking of that? That is funny. Uh, I mean, yeah, I like Godzilla. Are you talking about the new ones like Godzilla minus one or the new Godzilla versus Kong? I'm both of those are on my watch list. I haven't seen either yet. I started watching Godzilla minus one and then stopped because I was eating and I didn't want to try to read subtitles while I was watching it. Well, I mean, while I was eating. But then I realized also that, at least on the Netflix version, they have it dubbed. So pro- I will watch it tonight, but it's going to be too late. Maybe tomorrow or sometime this week. So I answered you, Jamal. So let me go on ahead. I don't. Been a minute. I'm not sure whom you're referring to when you're talking about Boss Man. Mind you, guys, I want to give advance notice. I'm not a sports aficionado, excuse me. So if you're referring to something dealing with either sports or the Olympics, I'm not going to know too much about it. The only thing I'll be familiar with is if you're talking about um, boxing, MMA, or Muay Thai. Those are really the only things that I will sometimes watch on TV. But again, I don't watch too much of that either because I'd rather be practicing it than watching other people doing it. So, but I especially love ONE FC. The office is, I think, another example of being irresponsible is not teaching your kids to bring kind, to be kind, ethics and morals, which lead to kids becoming bullies at a young age. Um, yes and no. So my thing is, I think we need more bullies. I'm going to be completely frank. Yes, bullies were the bane of childhood, but they were practical because they taught you how they kind of prepared you for life. Bullies prepared you for life. Like there are bullies in adulthood, whether they're your bosses, whether they are, um, I don't know, community leaders, whether they are um, your your homeowner association, um, or, or they could be something as serious as you living in a war torn society, like roving gang roving gang leaders, like roving gangs in certain places, like El Salvador or Somalia, Sudan, places like that, um, or whatever. Like I think bullies kind of prepared you for life. They taught you how to deal with adversity at a young age. So I think bullies are a necessary part of childhood to to a degree. I mean, of course, that can go way too far, right? But some of these kids today need, I'm sorry, they need some bullies. Like when you think that someone merely disagreeing with you is violence, that shows you live a pretty privileged upbringing. And some people will say, well, it's our job to make it easier for the next generation. I agree with that to a degree, but there still has to be adversity in every generation to sharpen them, because if there are gonna things are gonna pop up in life that you have to be prepared for, and typically happens in childhood. But I do agree you should be teaching your kids to be kind and be ethical and stuff like that. But I also do agree that we should have that there is a functional role to bullies during childhood. Uh, Delphi says there are just so many having a kid when you are not mentally, physically, or financially ready is just so responsible for not only the child but everyone else that gets involved. Absolutely. So when you have a kid at a young age, it's irresponsible because you're probably going to be ill prepared to take care of that child alone. So then you're burdening your parents to take care of your responsibility. And let's be honest, most of these young young or underage parents typically don't bring up the best of children. Um, and sometimes this can be a cycle within the family of just irresponsible parenthoods, like you know having children at a young age, or when you're not financially ready to do so. That's a huge problem. And I could just talk about that in the black community alone, but we have a mixed crowd, so I want to keep this broad. So yeah, I definitely don't believe in just having children just because you're within the age range to have those children. I've heard that so many times from so many people, from family, friends, etc. Like I remember the first time was when I was 21, and one of my Latino homies from high school, he was like, "Yo, what's up?" He's like, and we were just chopping it up, and he was like, "Well, you got any kids yet?" I was like, "Nah." He said, "Man, you 21. You need to have kids by now." I'm like, "Is this dude tripping? I'm 21. Like, that's he's acting like I'm over the hill for not having kids." I told this to someone else, to which they made some disparaging jokes about Latino culture. I'm not going there because I know all Latinos aren't like that, but I'm guessing, and people can correct me who are of Hispanic, Latino origin. Maybe that is more accepted to have children at a young age, but I don't think it's expected. He was making it like I should be having some at that age. Shit, I didn't even have a girlfriend, so it's like all right. But that was the first time, but that wasn't the last time, and ever since then, I've heard people say, "Well, you don't have kids yet." I remember at my job about 9 years ago, I was in the break room, and I don't I don't know how the conversation even started, but I might have been coming from the gym or something during our break. I can't remember, but the girl, she was like, "You don't have any children?" I was like, "No, not yet." She was like, "Well, how did you manage to have children? Not to have children? Why? And you're already in your 30s?" And I looked at her. I'm like, "I don't know, condoms." So yeah, I agree. Some people aren't prepared to have children. It's not just about you know you being physically able to do so. I mean, there should be the fact that you are mentally prepared to do so and that you have the fiscal means to take care of children. That arguably might be the most important thing. Delver says, I read a news article about a father using his son's social security number to open credit cards and loans at a young age, which ruined his credit once he tried to get a house. I don't know how someone could do that. Oh, I can. I can. And I'm gonna be completely offensive here. I don't care. I'm gonna I'm gonna guess that this person was black. You guys can say whatever you want. I know a ninja move when I hear one. That is a ninja move because we all know, and for us who are black and adjacent to black or whatever, that there are people in our community that like to open up all sorts of bills and credit cards in their mama name and their grandmama name and all sorts of stuff. So just saying. Um, I remember my father, when I was living with him, he, I think I was coming from school or something, and he asked me, did I try to go to a bank and open up a bank account under his name? I'm like, no, what the hell are you talking about? He was like, no. He said, well, he said, I got alerted from my bank that someone tried to withdraw money or something like that, or open up an account, something like that, and using his name. I was like, yeah, that definitely wasn't me. The fact that he would even ask me if I did something like that is just out of pocket because I've never done anything remotely that stupid. Oh, Headless says, sorry to bother, was flying through and notice your plaques. Interested to know the story. Don't mind me if it's a stupid question. It's not a stupid question. That is a plaque of my grandfather coming from the Korean War, where he was served as in the infantry. That's what that is. The other picture, unfortunately, is Obama. This is not my house, so these are not my plaques and portraits. But again, I've made this joke 1,000 times. I'll probably make it 1,000 more. Every old black person has a picture of Obama on their wall because to them, if it's like a dream fulfilled, even though Obama's not even black. But that's a whole different topic. So, but yeah, that's of my grandfather, my two grand uncles. So, Twism 21 says you like Virgil from WWF. I forgot which one was Virgil. I forgot. Sorry, it's been so long. But yeah, anyway, he goes on to say, why do poor people have kids? I mean, I think the more general question is why do people have kids, right? So I get the implication is that poor people having kids is just by virtue of the fact of them being poor, irresponsible. I don't know if I agree with that completely because here's the thing: poor people used to have society is society is built on poor people having children. I mean, I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna keep it a buck. society needs poor people to have children because they are the backbone of society. Just like if you look at like old medieval movies like or shows like House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, the common folk do most of the manual labor that keeps things running. The nobles aren't doing it. So somebody has to do it. So that's one reason why we poor people are poor people are encouraged to have children because they make up the backbone of this of society and its labor. So that's one aspect of it, right? But but if you're asking if it's irrational for poor people to have children, yes and no. So in more during agrarian times, it actually made sense for poor people to have a huge family because the bigger family you had in an agrarian culture, the more the more hands you had on the field to help out. So that made sense, right? But if you're talking post-industrial revolution, does it make sense for poor people to still have kids? Uh, yes and no. No, insofar that they will probably be a burden on the already um, the, such they'll already be a burden in a situation where you're where you're in dire financial straits, right? However, they can also be a help because people get old. They need people to look after them. The saddest thing is watching some old woman who doesn't have children or her children abandon her to just grow old alone and not have anyone to help them out. That's here why I'm here with my grandmother. She's like in her 80s, like late 80s now, and she lives at this in this house by herself. She needs help. So, I mean, until I move overseas or decide to go back to my other place, I will be here helping her out. Like she says she's fine living on her own, but since I've lived here, she's asked me to do several times every day, do several things a day that I guess she would have difficulty doing on her own, and it makes me wonder how is she getting along so well on her own without us, without one of us here every day. I mean, luckily there was one of my cousins coming by regularly, but still, it's not the same with actually having someone in the house so that if you slip, they can help you up. Um, if you're having difficulty moving things, like you have someone right there to help you. So it's not necessarily irrational for poor people to have kids because, like I said, people grow old, people get sick, so it makes sense to have other people around you that can help take care of you. But having said that, I realize that it's still somewhat irrational for people who are in financial dire straits to just dive right into having kids without looking at the financial ramifications of that. So it's a mixed bag, right? But that's a good question. Twism says, "Why do Latinas have lots of kids? Because the teacher said do some." Uh, that's come on, that's racist, dude. That's not cool. Plus, I mean, like I said, I have Latino viewers here. One of the guys I've like at least two or three of the guys that I talk to regularly on this channel are of Latino background, so I can't fly with that. That's not cool. I get it. I guess I get it. That's not cool. Dilfer says, I do agree that to a certain extent, bullies are necessary. One quote I like is, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, there has to be like sort of a balance, Dilfer, between making it, making things better for the next generation while still allowing them a way to wet the stone to keep them sharp because there will always be adversity in every generation no matter how good things get. We should, no matter how easy things get, for every generation preceding us, and the same thing for our forefathers, how easy we have it compared to what they did, you know, there still will be adversity. This is why there's an old Japanese proverb, at least if it's a real proverb, I don't know, but it's been regurgitated so many times that who knows if it's genuine or not. But there's the old so-called Japanese or samurai proverb that says it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So, all right, Twism, he's silly. Jonathan Victor says that's awesome. Everybody wants a family, even the poor. And again, that's another thing. We're talking about freedom, right? I'm a classical libertarian, so I believe in personal freedom. Um, to tell to restrict people's ability to have children, even if it is otherwise very irrational, would be a sort of paternalism that I would be against. One thing is that classical libertarians do tend to not like in a society or government is paternalism. To restrict people's abilities to have children would be of the utmost paternalism. So, ironically, it has been progressives back in the early 20th century that didn't mind restricting people from having children. And, we saw the outcomes of those sorts of social engineering programs. Very cruel. Um, but when those choices become a burden on society, is it still paternalism? That's the question. But yeah, everybody does want to. Well, not everybody, but people who want a family, is it should they only be within a certain income bracket? Because I find that to be quite paternalistic. Also, like I said, even poor people benefit from having families because, like I said, the younger members of the family will take care of the older members of the family, ideally. So, I don't know if we're related, Jamal. That's funny though. Delphi says, "What do you think is the biggest offense an irresponsible parent can make?" I don't know what the biggest irresponsibility can be because there's so many. I don't know. Abuse of your children, I think, is pretty much up there. Like abuse or unaliving. Well, yeah, let's just say unaliving a child, unaliving your children, um, and appropriately, um, you know, with those children. That's probably number two. And three is just all other forms of abuse and neglect. But yeah, I would think the biggest offense is unaliving them. Obviously, that would be the biggest. BSK says generally first world countries have weak fertility rates. Douchebag countries breed like cats generally. Yes and no. And I mean, that is that is truish, but there's there's other variables involved. So, video game going says, "What's up, my black brother?" Why does it have to be black brother? You could just say, "What's up, my brother?" You don't have to put that qualifier on there. We all we all see what I am, like what my ethnic background is. So, but Delphi says, "Would you agree that there's only so much great parents can do, and if kids become a criminal, it's because of them, or do you think there could be more the parents could have done?" So, these things don't happen in a social vacuum. Like I said, one of the biggest why this the reason why behavioral research is so interesting is that it's not is when you look at problem issues like this, it is a multi it's usually a multifactorial causation to these sorts of social problems. There's no one magic bullet that can give us the answer to all these things. Like it's all just the parents, or no, it's all just innate, or it's all no. I mean, it's a combination of things, right? Um, you know, you but there's things you can do and things you cannot do that can set your family up for failure. Um, have coming having a two-parent household raises raises the SES level of your kids. Um, owning a home raises the SES level of your kids. Um, having higher education raises the SES level of your kids. Uh, the mom not using teratogens you, raises the SES level of the kids. Teratogens are things that a mother can take while pregnant during um, or during the birthing process that can cause harm to the baby. So avoiding those things are good. Um, and I mean, even under the best situations, yes, a kid can become a criminal, but it's less unlikely, statistically speaking. Like there are certain things that you can almost there's a certain things that you can almost predict the kid is going down a downward spiral. um, like the father, having a father that's a felon, mother, and I'm adding all these are all additives, so don't take all these as one thing will make this the case. See these all as additive things working in unison, right? So, like I said, a father being a convicted felon, the mom being young when she had him, the parents not being married, um, living in a very poor household, living in a bad neighborhood, um, the parents taking drugs, um, the um, the glorification of black subculture is a big one. So, and I know people don't like to hear that, but yeah, like hip hop culture and just urban black culture is toxic. I'm, I don't care if people are offended by that. Urban black culture is toxic. You don't need Thomas Sowell to tell you that. Like urban black culture is toxic. Current modern, the whole this and modern American culture in general is not very healthy. Like traditional values are traditions for a reason. They work. But this, but black culture. When I talk about black culture, I'm talking about the subculture, not all black people, but black subculture like that embraces the glorification of criminality, the hip hop, the 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 sexual profligacy, um, the the sexy reds and Cardi B's out there. Like all of this is toxic. This will probably cause your kid to end up being a Glocktavius. No, I know you didn't mean any hostility. I was just saying you just say what's up, my brother. You gotta call you gotta say black brother. I know I'm black. You know I'm black. Just say what's up. But yeah, so I hope I hope I wasn't rambling too much, Dilfer. But yeah, it's a whole there's a lot of predictable things that can go into why someone's gonna end up going into a life of crime. Like one, they're already surrounded by crime, right? Two, they have these, what we're talking about, irresponsible parents. Like I said, you got a father that's been in and out of jail. Maybe sometimes maybe the mother. That actually might be a topic coming up this week, is how the image of black women has been, their reputation has been tarnished, which which is why we see more situations like the Sonya Massey thing happening more often. Things that we used to more often associate with black men with these sorts of things, with these encounters with police. We're seeing it more with women because their reputation in society has been going down, and it's partly their fault for how they let themselves be portrayed on, online, and even in real life, like some of the things they do. So that is a topic for another day, which we will broach. But like I said, like the way black culture glorifies criminality. I mean, and then when a guy gets out of prison, like they celebrate him coming out of prison the way you should be celebrating someone earning their master's degree, or coming, or even their bachelor's degree. Like people are just like, oh, you got your degree, so you think you smarter than everybody else, huh? But you come out of prison. Woo, my ninja's out. We gonna celebrate. Blah blah blah. So I think, I, I know I don't want to just restrict this to black culture, but black culture is toxic, and the types of cultures that resemble black subcultures are also toxic, like Southern redneck culture, which is actually where black subculture comes from, to be honest. Because I mean, people try to say this comes from the motherland. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But these honor cultures, which you find like in ghetto and in war torn societies, the old wild west, these sorts of honor cultures, these the values that come out of so-called honor cultures breeds criminals, and sexually irresponsible people who have kids are are making it more likely that their kid is going to grow up to commit crimes, um, or a kid that's faced a lot of abuse and neglect. These sorts of things become predictive become predictive variables to someone who might lead into a criminal life. So, Delphus is a little off topic, but what are your thoughts on adoption? Should there be more incentives given to those that do adopt to decrease the amount of foster kids end up over 18? I honestly, I don't have a strong opinion on it. Obviously, I think that adoption can be healthier for these children that are given away than ending up in a foster care system. But um, I should there be incentives? I don't know. I think the incentives could be just making it less hard for adoption, because adoption is a pretty tough process to undergo. So I think one of the incentives would be just making the process easier. But I don't really have strong opinions on it, uh, until I think about it more. Thanks, Lex. 412 Vibes says Pittsburgh here. Yeah, you were here before. I remember. I remember. So, but no. Yeah. So, guys, so we're talking about irresponsible parents for people who just came in. Yellow Bear says, "Wear your effing eyebrows." Well, your mother's twat kind of singed them, so they gotta grow back. Anywho, so yeah, so we're talking about irresponsible parents. And again, guys, this was by one of my subs, J.A.C, who I thought would be appearing by now. So um, I don't. I hope he sees this, but I'll let him know in the next live stream when he appears. Hey, I did the topic, but you didn't show up. That so often happens to be the case. It's like probably the third time that happened where someone offered me a topic and then they don't appear for it. Son of Soweto was probably the first guy to do that, or the second guy. But yeah, Trump, trauma. How do I say this? Trauma fell massages. Do you like white girls? Yeah, but I'm married, so I'm not looking for any. But yeah, I've I thought I when I was younger, I didn't even have a preference. I just liked all girls. Like they were all cute to me because I didn't have anyone, at least until I was 13, specifically tell me this is whom and who you shouldn't like or date. So I like white girls, I like black girls, I like Latino girls, I like Asian girls, I like indigenous girls. Like I said, it wasn't until I was 13 and I got the talk that I was told about these sorts of preferences that my parents had for me, particularly my mother, which I gladly ignored. So, Dorf says, "How much have you made so far in super chats?" Just like enough to buy some fruit snacks, but I don't think they give it to you until you reach like a certain amount. Like, say, like I think you can pick the increments in which you start to get paid. I think I chose like 100 or something like that. But I mean, not a lot yet. I didn't expect so. I don't have that many subs yet, right? But you guys, please like and subscribe. I like to have more subs. Um, ideally, I want to, and yes, ideally, I want to get to at least a million, at least. But I the funny thing is I can't joke anymore, Dilford, about. So I don't know if you were in my live streams long, long time ago. If you ever watched my pre-recorded videos, but I used to always joke saying I only have one follower. But I can't make that joke anymore now that I'm monetized. So it's obviously not true. But that used to be my running joke for a long time. For the last year and a half was, "Hey guys, I only got one subscriber." So but yeah, I haven't made a lot from super chats, but that's cool because again, this isn't actually my daytime job, right? This is why I would have been monetized a long time ago if I had put this, if I, if I had started this with the sake of it being an actual like job. But I didn't approach it that way at first because I wasn't even sure people would even listen to me. But my friend was surely right that people would, and I'm glad he gave me the suggestion. Said bring art of mine says bring your wife in the camera. She was here before. You missed it. Sorry. She was here yesterday. Yes, yesterday? What the other day? Whichever. But yeah. But she's not. I don't bring her in the on camera just to simply appease people. Like some of these some vloggers do that. Like they bring their significant others on camera, or at least people they pretend to be their significant others on camera just to be eye candy. Um, I don't exploit my wife like that. That's pretty low brow to do something like that, to bring a significant other onto camera just for the eyeballs. But yeah, there's some of these, and I'm not going to name them, but there's like some of these guys in the passport bro movement, and I am a passport bro myself, but there's some of these guys in the passport bro movement that have these girlfriends that they bring on their videos merely to be thirst traps. It's like okay, cool, but I don't get down that way. Anyway, uh, how much they take from super chats, memberships, and other fees. Well, they take their cut. It's a stream is tough to get started. You sit in front of a screen with no viewers until someone appears, and you hope they stay long enough to be interested. Uh, True. I mean, my first live streams were me without an audience. Actually, if you look at my original live streams, there were no audience there. I was just, but at least I had like a whole spiel that I said while I was on camera, so it wasn't like it was just dead air. Like it was me just talking the entire time, and then I would end it once I was done. But once I started actually getting people following, it's now I go, now I just converse back and forth with everyone in the chat room. BSK says incentive for fostering absolutely graduated though, not lump. Yeah, like I said, I think one of the incentives BSK for adoption would be just making the whole process easier. That's a difficult process, and it's like not everyone wants to undergo that. On top of the fact that a lot of guys don't want to raise someone that's not of their own seed. So, for people who are willing to do so, and have the financial means to do so, you should make it easier for them to do it. BSK says different, not forethoughts, etc. Smash, smash the like button. Yep, yep. Delphi says that's another one. Being irresponsible and allowing your daughter to dress a certain way and allowing her to say become a 304. Yeah, that's irresponsible. I think that falls on a part of neglect, um, and that often happens in single. Let's be clear. This often happens in single mother raised children because often the father is not having it. He's not letting his daughter go out looking like a tramp if he actually cares about her and he's in her life. If he doesn't care for about her and or isn't in her life, then yeah, she might go out looking that way. But for the most part, yeah, most fathers aren't having it. The mom might think it's cute because she used to be a little trollop herself, but yeah, most guys aren't going for that. So yeah, so when I'm also talking about irresponsible parents, I'm talking about not just full on like physical abuse or not being financially ready. That's part of it though, and not just talking about neglect. Like there's things irresponsible parents do psychologically that breaks down their children, like the verbal abuse or the gaslighting, like doing things that you know are wrong that's going to harm your child, and then making them feel bad for calling you out on it. These things are bad as well. These are things that have happened to me, or just actively getting in the way of your child's progress just because they aren't doing it the way you want them to do it, or that the parent is worried that the child will outshine them. These are things that bad parents do as well. So it doesn't have to just be about being poor, being abusive, these things. Like I said, it's all these psychosocial things as well that can make for an irresponsible parent. Therefore says, I think those quote harmless unquote lies the parents will tell us can be damaging to children as well, depending on what the lie is. Yeah,
from a certain point of view. I just had to say that because as soon as you said that, made me think of Obi-Wan, because that's always the funniest thing is when Luke calls him out online about his father, saying, "I thought you said Darth Vader killed my father." He is like, "Well, that is true from a certain point of view." So, in any case, yeah. Get some water, guys. Got bear with me. I did a 12K run earlier, and I had to do some moving, help a family member move out their house. Heavy stuff in the heat. And usually I would say no to such requests, but this person looks out for me, so I'll look out for them because that's what good family is supposed to do. um, but yeah, I want when I'm thinking of irresponsible, I'm not thinking of just physical abuse, um, eggs abuse, or um, not having or just lacking money. I'm thinking more of the psychological things when I'm referred to like irresponsible parents. And I've mentioned some of the things my family has done in the past. So, like I said, I've like my parents not supporting me going to college. Not only not supporting me, but actually working against me going to college. That was pretty troubling. But then wanted to celebrate when I still ended up graduating nonetheless, although they didn't help and actually work tried to tried to prevent me from going, and then turn around and telling me now I must try to support. I need to help them convince my siblings to go to college. Who, and I'll be more precise. So I had a sister who dropped out of high school, and my mother who didn't support my career, my academic career whatsoever, told me I needed to convince her that she needed to go back to school and go to college so that she could pay for it. And I'm like, really? Okay. So I did. The sister said she wasn't interested. I was like, okay. She was like, obviously, if I still wanted to go to school, I wouldn't have dropped out of high school. I was like, yeah, point taken. And, this sister was allowed to do anything she wants. And now she's a drug addict and has done nothing with her life. She has two bastard kids, one who is probably going to be pregnant within a few years, and the other one who probably won't make it out of high school, will drop out just like his mother did. His father in and out of prison, and someone who takes drugs himself. Not looking good for the guy, for the little guy. And if I could, I would be more helpful to his upbringing, but his his Delulu mom doesn't want anyone, you know, you know, taking a hand and raising her kids but her, even though she doesn't know what she's doing. So, pattern of bad parenting. And this is why I've taken my time. I'm not a parent yet because I'd rather take my time and do it correctly than just rush into it and fuck up like they did. So, differences what you consider teachers to also be a form of parent as well. I still remember my third grade teacher who really made a difference in my life and considered her my second mom. For some kids, they can be considered a parent, but that's not the teacher's job. The teachers are not supposed to be raising other people's kids. That's another problem. That shows these are bad parents. If a teacher is raising your child, then you aren't a good parent. That is not their job is to educate your kids. Their job is not to be that teacher that kid's parent. And they're not supposed to be that kid's psychologists, and they're not supposed to be that kid's uh, bodyguard. Like, which when I'm talking about that, I mean I'm talking about the whole idea of arming teachers in case of a in case of a school shooting. That is not their job. Stop making teachers' jobs already hard. Like, why do they have to do all these other things when they're under? They don't get paid enough to raise someone else's bastards. I'm sorry, little KKK Keisha and Glocktavius need like I'm not raising them. That's not my job. My job is to educate them. Now, if a teacher decided to take some children under their wing as their ersatz parent, then more power to them. But if I were an educator, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not raising someone else's kids because they failed to do so. If a teacher has to be the kid's parent, then maybe those parents need to have their kids taken from them. Uh, then also, we should also touch on the thing that J.A.C was talking about specifically, even though he's not here, which is deadbeat parents, which is another form of being irresponsible parents. I don't know how widespread that is, if at all, but usually it was assumed that the deadbeat parent was the dad. Although I've seen deadbeat moms, not mine, but I've seen there are some deadbeat moms out there. So, and then also the whole thing of deadbeat dads is quite poignant in the black community because it has always been a built upon uh, um, urban myth that most black men were deadbeat dads, and it's not true. When you actually look at the census data and government statistics, it showed that black men were actually the most involved in their children's lives. Um, but that rumor that black men were deadbeat dads was spread for 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 decades by stupid bitches like Oprah Winfrey, who had to actually come out and apologize for spreading that lie a few years ago. She actually came out and apologized for spreading that lie on her little trash talk TV, um, and others who propagated that urban myth for like decades since like the 70s and 80s. That was like, oh, these guys are deadbeat dads. No, they weren't. What often was the case is that when these guys no longer wanted to be involved with the mother used these children, weaponized the children's against the against their fathers by taking the kids away from them, and then gaslighting the kids by saying, "Oh, your father doesn't want to, is a a jerk, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with you." So the difference is, all right, brother, gotta go. You have a good one. Thanks, Dilfred. But guys, I'm not going to go too much in depth because the original person for which this topic was intended did not show up, and it is already getting late on my end. It is 11:17 p.m. EST. That's Eastern Standard Time. And I thought my good Canadian brother J.A.C would be here to talk about this since this was his idea. Maybe he'll see this when this is uploaded. Oh, by the way, uh, I one of the things I did note about the super chats and all this sort of stuff is even once this is uploaded, guys, you guys can send me a super thanks even after this is no longer live. You can send super thanks um, long after these things have ended. I mean, have long ended the live broadcast. So feel free to help a brother out. Audrey Haywood says you may at least enrich the child by encouraging them to become aware of their strengths and abilities to look forward and that they can build a better life in the future. It's not their fault. I don't think we I don't think I've said that it's the kid's fault. What I've said at all about that sort of thing that you're talking about is that when you look at the failure of some children to do anything productive with their lives, it's not a it's not a there's not one single magic bullet cause for why that's the case. It's usually a multivariable causation to that, to why they ended up the way they did. Oh, you said I didn't mean that you said that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so um, can it be the child's fault? Sometimes, like at a certain stage, yeah. Like, once you reach adulthood, you can't be saying, "Oh, boo hoo, my parents didn't do this and that for me." Yeah, that's true, but now that you're an adult, you just have to work around those limitations and still do what you can do. Like I said, my folks didn't help me go to college, but I still found a way. I went to the army, and you know, and luckily I was also intelligent enough that I could, you know, place place into a decent school. So, um, there's a lot of things to go into it, but yeah, like I said, irresponsible. But when I'm when I'm talking about irresponsible parents, I'm talking about the stuff that the psychological stuff specifically that they can do that can harm their children, like going out of their way to make things difficult for that kid just because they. So again, I'm gonna bring it personal to me again, like having a father who thinks, "Oh, I got it too easy, so I'm gonna just go out of my way to make your life difficult." Stuff like that, and then dealing with, these sibling rivalries, um, and clearly seeing a parent choose one child over the other for nothing else but one has the preferred gender to that parent. So I don't know, but this like I said, this stream might end early just because I don't see too much going on here with conversation. I mean, I value you guys, of course, but since this topic wasn't really my idea, I was actually hoping the person whose idea would have kind of led this discussion. Excuse me, led this discussion a little bit. I didn't plan to take the lead on this. Audrey Haywood says try to uplift children so they can know they can come out of poor environments. It's not just about that. It's not just uplifting them. You have to disavow toxic culture. It's not just uplifting them. That's not going to do anything by itself. You need to have, like, there has to be tangible things that people do, like not letting them sit in front of the TV all day, or on their phone. Take that phone away from them. Turn that TV off. Go study. Go read. Go outside. um, Being involved in their education, like what's going on at school. No, I'm gonna go check this out. I'm gonna go talk to your teachers, see what's going on. A C? Why you have a C? Why couldn't it be higher? Um, just it's a lot of things. So if your kid can't do that doesn't know their multiplication table, but can recite a XXX 10 nation song, whatever F his name is, there's something wrong with your parenting, and you're setting that kid up to be stupid. And like I said, I'm just gonna say hip hop culture makes people stupid. I don't care how people take it. I've been I've been engrossed in hip hop since its beginnings when I was little, and I can fully acknowledge hip hop culture makes you stupid. So that's something to avoid. Your kids should not be knowing the names of rappers and knowing their songs, but failing math. Your kid shouldn't be a master gamer on Call of Duty or one of these other like war or activity or sports games, but but can't run a mile and can't do 10 push-ups. Like audio volume low again. My bad. Um, but yeah, I was saying certain cultural value. This is why I'm not a cultural relativist. Some certain cultural values set kids up for failure, and some set them up for success. Like I said, the values that come out of hip hop culture or black subculture or urban culture, whatever you want to call it, sets you up for failure. Um, Parents who either neglect or actually work against their kids' success because of their own personal hangups are setting their kids up for failure. Um, but yeah, I don't, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that can go into talking about irresponsible parents. Like I said, that's why I was hoping the front man was here today, but he isn't. So I'm gonna end this a little early because I really didn't have I have some strong opinions on this, but they weren't well thought out to this. But as far as uplifting children, there has to be something. You have to make it more tangible than just saying uplift children. What are you doing to actually uplift your children? Are you are you are you doubling down on their education? Um, are you making sure they get the soft skills that they need in life to succeed? Um, are you not being an emotional tyrant? Like it's so many things. But I think I'm gonna end this soon. Uh, but like I said, you guys can watch it when it's uploaded in its entirety if you want, and you can feel free to send me a super thanks even after this has been posted. You can also leave any sort of comments or questions or thoughts or queries in the comment section when I'm done with this because I do always check the comments after a video has uploaded, so I can respond to people. And through my the YouTube studio, they allow me to see all that stuff anyway. So I never miss anything if it comes through, unless it was like, unless they automatically flagged it for a review because it was something inappropriate. Then I have to actually go and look into that and see if it was worth responding to in the first place. Audrey says I would like to have parenting classes for all required parents or not, and have those classes for each pregnancy, both parents required. So they used to have classes like that in high school. These sorts of things get removed when schools no longer when schools have smaller budgets or schools that decide that they only want to teach STEM courses, so they neglect things like teaching kids about health and home economics and tech ed, stuff like that. But schools used to do that. Again, I will also say that educators' jobs are primarily on education. They shouldn't be raising your children. Expecting educators to raise your children because you're not a good parent is a personal problem. So I'm gonna harp on that. Like, people need to stop expecting the parents to raise their children. No, you need to step up as a parent and do these things. If you want, like, say, if you want your kid to know stuff about your own cultural history and stuff like that, you need to ensure that that happens, not the teacher. If you if you want to prepare your child for how to be a good parent, that is your job, not that's not the educator's job. Like I said, they used to take part of a role in that when you used to have classes on parenting and home economics and stuff like that, which taught these sorts of skills because, up until like the 80s, and well, actually up until the 90s, most people like were just expected to go directly into the workforce after high school. So a lot of these schools had to prepare teen high school students for going directly into the workplace after school. So they had things that taught them to do so, like driver's ed and home economics and cooking classes and all sorts of stuff like that. Like these were things that high schools used to do, but a lot of these less less funded schools took these sort of things out and would just teach to the standardized tests that were required for these kids to pass to graduate school. And some schools just focused all on STEM and neglected all these soft skills that people need. So RG says also beyond high school, the country should be responsible. My husband and I were in parenting classes before we adopted our child. I know it's helpful. Yeah, it definitely is. Like I said, there was classes like that. You don't remember seeing like how schools would make you have an egg and you had to take care of it like it was your child. Like they used to do stuff like that, or they used to talk about parenting and stuff like that and sex ed. But some places didn't allow sex ed because it was too controversial for some people. So like I said, these are not things that are you know things that schools don't do. Is just a lot of them have stopped either because now they're considered controversial, or because these schools want to concentrate on just teaching to the standardized tests and to STEM coursework instead of teaching kids these soft skills that they need to do well in life as well. So like I said, they don't take the classes on how to do taxes and bookkeeping. They don't get those classes on home economics. They don't get those classes on tech ed. They don't get the class on driver's ed. They don't get the class on sex ed and or parenting, stuff like that. But I think it is the family's job to teach their children how to be good parents. Overseas, it's the parents teach their children how, like particularly the women, like they teach their daughters how to be wives and mothers. It's not just something just thrust upon them and just all of a sudden, voila, you read a book on how what's it like to when expecting or whatever those very common books on childhood are when people are pregnant. Read. Andrew says, "What's up?" with the three hand shakes. Audrey says, "Yes, I remember, but we need to go beyond school graduation, not part of the school system." Well, if it's not part of the school system, then again, I think that falls on the families of those kids to do that. I don't think it's a country's job to teach people how to parent their children because then that gets very controversial. What you don't see that as being particularly sinister. Like if the country, if the government is teaching people how to be parents, like I, no, what so what do they consider good parenting? What do they consider bad parenting? That's going to get very sketchy very quickly. I would not want the country doing that at all. That is that is something I'm against. I think that's completely too paternalistic. We don't need we don't need the government teaching people what they think is a good parent. That would be very troubling. The county is still part of the government. Whether you're talking about state government, county government, municipal government, federal government, those are all facets of government, and I think it would be very sketchy for any government, no matter whether it's local, state, or federal, to be telling people how they should be parenting. That's I don't think that's a good idea. Now they can give them courses on have healthy how to have healthy children, maybe, but teaching them what to parent, I would find that very dubious. So yeah, I would be against that. Like, it's not the country's role, not the educator's role. That is that's the family's role to teach their children how to also be good parents when the time is right for them. Now, maybe there could be community centers within certain ethnic and cultural groups that teach those groups how to be parents within their cultural space. That seems quite acceptable. Like if you are a Mormon, say, there might be certain expectations of how to raise children in a uh, Mormon background. Ditto with, like, say, Jewish or whatever. Like there might be specific groups in which there's certain expectations placed on people as members of that group for how they will raise their children and stuff like that. And of course, if they don't want to, then they're always free to leave those groups, presumably. So like the Amish and the Hutterites, right? So the Amish, well, some Amish groups, not all, some Amish groups allow the young folks when they, I guess, turn 18 or whatever, to go through I forgot the name of it, but they get to go to the outside world and check out the outside world and see how it is, so they can decide that if this is something they want to do, or do they want to stay within the Amish community. But aside from that, like, they're taught how to be an Amish person, as an Amish family man, family woman, uh, as someone who contributes to their community, all that sort of stuff. I think it makes sense within those specific groups than for the government to do so, whether you're talking about the county or something else. So, um, Audrey says there are many things that would be involved in parenting. I know some things would be controversial, some things could be left out but made aware by parents deciding which part they would teach. I'm just not completely at all for the government having any say in how parents should be raising their kids. I find it completely cringe. I don't care if it's the county level, the local municipal level, the the the, the town village level. It's all cringe to me to have the country coming in and telling people how to raise their children. That's no. I'm good. I'd rather people be free to have bad. I'd rather people be free to be bad parents than for them to meet the definition of a good parent as defined by a certain government. So I'm good. I'm cool on that one. That sounds very communist. So sorry guys, another water break. But like I said, for within certain ethnic, cultural, or religious groups, I don't have a problem with that because people can opt out of those groups presumably as well as opt into them. So if they opt into them, then they want those sorts of standards and restrictions on how they raise children and how they function within their communities. That's cool. But when it comes to government, we don't get to opt in, and it's very hard, and it's almost impossible to opt out unless you actually leave that country or leave that city or leave that state. Not everyone has the means to do so. But and then also, here's another um, another thing to consider is that even if you do teach people to be good parents under the ideal situations, if people have certain if if people are messed up mentally, it's still it still may not matter. A lot of these people who are irresponsible parents, they tend to have some things going on that they could probably seek some counseling for. So even under ideal situations, like the people who have underlying issues, whether they're psychological, social, economic, uh, physical, they may still end up being irresponsible parents because of those issues. And usually, like I said, multiple issues. It might be a combination of some underlying psychosocial issues, or along with, say, like being in a bad neighborhood, along with like maybe I don't know, like substance abuse or violence, as well as like uh, being part of toxic toxic culture. Like these things may happen all in conjunction with each other. Excuse me. But guys, I'm starting to lose my voice. I need to drink some more water. I'm about to go. Um, if you guys see J.A.C, tell him that he was supposed to be in this chat. I'll probably see him again. Um, but I'm gonna go before I lose my voice. But like I say, Audrey, I agree that there should be like uh, parenting classes available for people, but I just don't think it should be mandatory. That's where I disagree. Because the question becomes who is making it mandatory, and if they and depending on who is making it mandatory, what are their pre-existing beliefs that they are putting into those classes that they expect everyone to uphold. So on that note, I think we can end it there, guys. If you have any other questions, queries, thoughts, concerns, you can leave it in the comment section. Uh, and if you want, you can send me a super thanks even after this is uploaded. Um, and I'm sorry, I seemed like I was rambling, but like I said, I expected someone else to kind of lead this discussion who wasn't available today. So, uh, luckily I made it more broad than just deadbeat parents, which is what he originally wanted the topic to be about. But I think that's not as widespread as we would think it to be to make it a good discussion. So, on that note, guys, I am out of here, um, and I'll be back probably earlier tomorrow for a chat. Something different than today, of course. But I appreciate everyone checking in. For some reason, I don't know what I did, or maybe it was the topic. I had got up to like 68 or so viewers, so that's pretty cool. If you guys haven't already, please like and subscribe. If you can, share the videos. By the way, I have plenty of other stuff, so when I get off, please feel free to look through my little catalog of videos, and you'll see that I talk about a bunch of stuff. And it's just not just live streams. I've done YouTube shorts and some pre-recorded videos. I have more pre-recorded videos coming up as well, including like I want to do like a little martial arts fitness video for you guys that I've been promising for a year. I have the space and the place where I can do a little proper setup here, so I will be doing that soon. But other than that, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.